Well, hello everyone. Good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us in the United States here. And my name is Sam Coy. I'm the Senior Sales Executive for CaseWorthy, centrally located in New England, in Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm actually joined by my incredible colleagues, Thomas Horst, who's located in Dallas, Texas, Rhett Richens and Richard Rapolo, who are both in Salt Lake City, and also our president, Scott Ardress, who is also located in Salt Lake City. Now, Richard will be facilitating the demo that we have prepared for us today. He opted out of the picture, but that's okay. But I did want to first start off by, of course, thanking you for taking the time out of your very busy schedules. We have about an hour for this presentation, of which 10 minutes I'm going to go through this PowerPoint and cover a brief overview of our company. I'm also going to take you through, a little bit of what we're going to be talking about and acclimating you to our automated job matching functionality through this PowerPoint so you can kind of get an idea of what Richard is going to talk about during his presentation. And then once I'm finished, Richard then is going to take over. He's going to show us how to navigate through the software. He's going to illustrate some of those automated job matching and employment functionalities that we're going to go through in the PowerPoint. But for logistic purposes, let's just put out there, when you join the meeting, you probably joined in listen-only mode. So if you would like to ask questions throughout the presentation as we move along, feel free to use a chat box or raise your hand in the GoToMeeting toolbar, and we will get to those questions at the end. All right, so as we start today's agenda, what we're going to hopefully get a chance to show you, now there's a lot that we're going to cover, but what we're hoping to be able to get into this hour is really giving you an opportunity as an agency to take a peek at our application and how we can pretty much add, job orders and, be able to look at employers, descriptions, positions, pay, being able to view those job orders by date, maybe the industry, the location, how to add and search a job candidate's skill or education and qualification. Now, there's a number of you who have joined the call that do employment work, so this is really going to be pertinent to some of the service delivery that you guys provide, especially when you're looking to how to view candidates in terms of keywords and qualifications, how CaseWorthy compares to the candidate qualifications against job order requirements and creating these automated job matches. I mean, these are some of the things that we're going to be able to get into today. And then as we go through, we're also going to look at some reports as well. So some CaseWorthy analytic reporting functionality will be shown. And this will allow us to really come full circle. And that should be done probably by the end of the presentation for the reporting. Now, in addition to some of the awesome job match stuff that we do here, there's a list here of other employment functionality that we offer. This is another webinar we do in the series. We probably won't be able to get to these items, but stay tuned for another webinar series in which we cover these important employment activities. So first I'm going to start off by talking a little bit to you about CaseWorthy and who we are as a company. CaseWorthy was founded in 2008 by our CEO, Brian Bingle. With over 3 decades of experience in the industry, his vision helped to create a state-of-the-art solution with a contemporary architecture that offers providers, a comprehensive component-based innovative enterprise solution to help organizations really, in the end of the day, automate their business processes, improve their ability to track their outcomes, especially with employment. It's one of our really big hitters with our software. Being able to demonstrate the impact that you have to your funders through easy reporting functionality, and really being able to streamline those services and improve organizational sustainability as you guys look to become high performing in certain areas that you provide your services. All of this in one centralized location for collecting data. Brian's vision is what helped to create this groundbreaking technology that Richard is going to be able to demonstrate for you today. All right. So let me give you an idea of what we have, who we've worked with in the community. We've worked with various providers in the industry, such as whole counties, state and local governments, funders, HHS providers. For example, one of the government providers in this as a state agency is the Connecticut Coalition to End Homelessness. So Connecticut uses our software for their HMIS solution. here in the Northeast, and they have about 7 COCs and over 400 partner agencies across the state. Another example of a company that we work with is Soldier On, and they're a customer with locations all over New England, including New York, based in Leeds, Massachusetts. This is a recipient of one of the largest SSBS grants that provide supportive services for homeless veterans. And then we also work with faith-based organizations as well. Catholic Charities Archdiocese of Boston is one of the examples of that. They have about 29 locations and over 100 programs, and they do lots of employment activities. We also work with a ton of Goodwills and United Ways across the United States. One thing I do want to mention is to check out our case studies located on our website to really learn more about how organizations are using our software. And it would really be a nice education for you if you're interested. Now, more specifically, Goodwill of Central Texas, a long-term customer of ours since 2011, has been using our application to support many of their programs, including a strong focus on employment. In addition, Goodwill North Georgia uses our employment web portal that allows for them to intake about 75,000 clients who do self-registration and enter all of their activities and their employment activities that agencies really just can't staff for. So our employment portal is extremely innovative, really flexible and robust, and really allows for providers to be able to access the portal as well and put in some of the jobs that they have available. And once that's in there, some of the clients who are looking for employment can really match up their skills versus what's out there. So it really does streamline the way that folks are now doing employment. All right, so what is CaseWorthy? Well, CaseWorthy is a outcomes-focused, organization-wide, advanced case management software solution for nonprofits, foundations, health and human service, social service agencies that automates and simplifies the data management of funder compliance processes. So agencies really can improve their evidence of social impact in the communities that they serve. So with CaseWorthy, you have a mission-critical web-based technology to securely manage all of your programs because it's an enterprise solution and services data into a single central database of record. Our CaseWorthy solution really is a highly configurable, off-the-shelf enterprise solution. Wherever you have internet, you can access data and enter data. In addition, our solution is also available on tablets, smartphones, iPhones, etc. We have a responsive web design that allows for a really nice display. And think about this. If you are an agency that sends folks out into the community, this is a really nice, flexible piece of functionality that allows for you to continue to do your work as you're, working with clients in the field. So we do deploy the best, SaaS technology that really allows for you to securely manage all of your organization, all of your services and programs organization-wide. But in addition, if you're an organization that works with other organizations and other providers in the community, our software tool is also set up to be able to help manage that without sharing data if you don't want to, or sharing data if you do. So this webinar will focus specifically on our automated job matching tools that match qualified job candidates in open employer positions and as part of our presentation today. But I did want to make mention of some of the other things that we have going on. Now, I would like to take a minute and talk about our web technology platform. If you're not a techie, I apologize, but it is, however, important that you see what you're working with. So CaseWorthy is a Microsoft-based solution that works with Microsoft Edge 10, Google Internet Explorer 9 and 10, as well as on tablets, as I have mentioned. What's really interesting, too, is that we are actually moved to a SQL database of 2016 just recently. So I know it says here on the screen is 2012, but just recently we did switch over to the 2016. We are also on a .NET framework, and as you see there, at MS SQL database platform. Okay. So here's a list of differentiators that our customers enjoy that other vendors really struggle to provide in a single solution, with the exception of our web portal that I've mentioned. Many of our self-contained features and functionalities provided right from within our system, while other vendors really offer them as an add-on product at an additional cost. So when we deploy and deliver our application, a lot of the functionality that you're going to see today will come baseline, and you will have access to that. And then if there's things that you need to configure, our software system is certainly highly configurable, and we'll be able to go in there and do whatever specific customizations that you need to help track your outcomes. Now, the most common feedback given from our customers is how easy and flexible our software is to use and navigate. And really, it's important for us to be able to empower our customers with the ability to complete any configuration internally. So this includes the ability to customize workflows, forms, and reports. Our ad hoc analytics reporting engine uses pivot tables to grab and drop data into fields so that you can create your reports. It also has drill down functionality for ease of use in creating those reports. In addition, our customers have multiple systems that are required, right? And so our system does have the ability to integrate with those systems and allow data to pass back and forth. We can build a bridge with our open API, but the question is whether those other systems will allow for it. As you see in the list, there's tons of different things that we have going on. For example, some of the other perks and differentiators include geocoding and mapping functionality. Let's just say you have someone you'd like to send out for a job, and you want to make sure that they are in the vicinity, and they're not sending them across town to jobs that they can't get to. You can use our geo mapping and geocoding functionality in our system to be able to help with that. It'd be really great. I hope that we'll be able to get to that and show you that. Richard has a whole presentation set up for you. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to maybe show you a few of these things here as well. All right, so our professional service offering ensures really the success of our customer projects. It's a partnership that exists and allows us to work with you to implement and provide you a finished, polished product that go live. In addition, we really want to ensure that you have that internal capacity, as I talked about, to continue to build in the system as your organization grows and scales. You can use this application to grow and scale with you. We do offer those supporting activities in creating complex reporting and workflows, as I had mentioned. And our help desk support is in place to really assist users as they move about the software. So at no time are you left to figure it all out. Your success is our success. So with that, that concludes this part of the presentation, the PowerPoint. We do these webinars every week on Wednesdays. So we encourage you to join us, because sometimes we do these, we have different things that we present. And now I'm going to hand it over to Richard. And with that, Richard, you can take it away.
Well, thank you, Sam. Are you going to pass it to me, or do you want me to go grab it?
I think you should go grab it.
Okay, then I will certainly do that. Let's see, make myself the presenter. Okay, and if you'll just let me know if you are seeing my screen, that'll be great.
See your screen. It looks great. We see Teresa.
Okay, hey, thanks so much. Thanks so much, Sam. Appreciate it. So as Sam mentioned, the focus today is to really focus on our automated job match effort. And so that's what we're going to do today. I wanted to spend just a brief moment and just talk about navigation and specifically roles. As Sam mentioned, that was kind of one of the differentiators that we have here within our CaseWorthy application, is the ability for our customers to define functionality that exists in a role, and then you map users to a role. So if you have certain users that only do certain things within your organization, you can create a role. You can call that role whatever you want. You define the specific functionality and forms within that role, and then when those users log on to the system, they're going to go to that role, and they're only going to see the functionality that you have given them. So to articulate that point, you can see that I am in the upper right-hand corner. I have logged on to the system, and directly below my name it says All Features. That just tells me that I am currently in the All Features role. Now you're going to see in a moment here that you can also give users the ability to have more than one role available. So your system administrators, they may have access to every role you have set up, whereas your end users, they do what they do, and so if they only need one role, you give them the one role, and it just has the functionality that they need. So we're currently in the all features role. You're going to see that as we drive through the presentation, you're going to see that we are a tab-driven system. Here's the case management tab that we're currently in right now. We're going to be in the organization tab in just a moment, and then at the end of the presentation, we'll be in the administration tab when we look at our reporting framework. So within the case management tab itself, the navigation panel over here on the left-hand side, as we go from tab to tab, you'll be able to see the functionality that exists within that tab. So for the all features role in the case management tab, this is all the work group areas that we have set up. So we can find a client, we can add a client. We've got client information work group area here, and as we click on that, these are just all forms of functionality that's available. As we go to our case management work group area, we've got more forms or functionality available. We've got an assessment work group area. These are all the assessments we have made available for this role. We've got a health management, a time management. So again, anybody who is mapped to the all features role, this is the functionality that they will have available. Now, for our purposes today, and we're gonna be in the all features role, and we're gonna be in a different role as well. So right now, I want to come over here to the roles, and I'm going to select a different role. So you can see that as a user, I have access to many different roles within the CaseWorthy application. And so for today's purposes, I'm going to go ahead and select the job match role. And so as I've selected that, you can see that the client record still stays the same. I'm still working with the Teresa Rivers client record, but now I'm in the job match role, no longer in the all features role. And the first thing you notice that in our case management tab over here, well, we still have a case management work group area with some forms available, but we don't have a client information, we don't have an assessment, we don't have health management, we don't have time management. So we've really stripped down the functionality that exists within this role, because all of our users that are using the job match role, they're working with our clients and they're doing job orders in the system, and so we just give them the functionality they need. So why have them look at additional functionality when it's just not relevant for what they do within the organization? So we'll drive some of the presentation out of the job match, and then we'll go back to the all features, definitely when we get to the reporting, because I've just got a little better dashboards set up in that particular role. So, okay, so as Sam mentioned, there's really two components when we're talking about job matching. First of all, we have to have open job orders in the system, right? And so that's what we're going to look at first. And so within the CaseWorthy application, that would exist in our organization tab. And then under the resources area over here, you can see we've got a job orders. And so we've got a little dashboard here for our job orders. And so now the first thing we're going to do is add a job order. So we're going to go ahead and click on this. And what it's going to do now is define a workflow that we have put together that's just going to tell us what we need to do to get a job order into the system, an open job from an employer out there in the community. Now, there's a couple ways you can get this into the system, and as we're going to go do it today, we're just going to manually put this information into the system. So this might be a staff, a resource that we have available within our organization, a job developer or whatever you happen to call these individuals. And so they work with the employers in the community, they contact them, they get all the information from the employers, and then they're the ones putting it into the system. Now, if you wanted to open this functionality up through the out-facing web portal that Sam also mentioned, then you can certainly do that. So rather than having an internal resource get all the information from all the employers you work with in the community and then actually input this information into the system, you may just want to open this workflow up to all the employers that you work with in the community. And so through the out-facing web portal, all these employers will be able to go access this particular workflow or application, and they'll be able to put in their own open job orders into the system. And once they finish the workflow, it goes right into your database, just as if you input this data yourself through an internal workflow. So a couple different ways that you can, get this information into the system. So we're going to go ahead and create this open job order. And the first thing we need to do is pick an employer. And you can see that these are all of the employers that we currently have set up in our database. And so we've just got our demo database here. And you can see we have 53 employers that are currently set up. And if it was one of our existing employers, and I didn't want to click on that one, so let's go back. And so if it's one of our existing employers, then we could go ahead and select those. If it wasn't, there was a button right there in the upper part of that form where you could add a new employer on the fly and actually enter them into your database itself. So we're going to create an open job order for Chick-fil-A, and if we have any contact people that are associated with this particular employer in our database, we can go ahead and pull them up. So whether it's just one contact we work with over at Chick-fil-A, or maybe there's a half a dozen. And so as you're setting up your employer, you're setting up all the contacts that are related to that. And so our title here is, this is just going to be a cashier position. And so if you wanted to go ahead and post the URL for this, you could certainly do that. If you wanted to post the employer website associated with this, you could do that. And now you have a job description. Now you can see wherever these fields have a little asterisk next to them, that just means it's a required field that you need to fill out. And within the CaseWorthy tool set, you can make any one of these fields required or not required. So again, we're not really going to get into our configuration tools today as part of this presentation, but you'll have the ability to make any of these data fields on any form required or not required. And so on a job description itself, you could just go ahead and manually type in your job description. I went out to Indeed and pulled up, a job description just for a cashier, and we've copied, so we'll go ahead and copy that, and then let's just go ahead and bring that right into the application itself. So if we want to paste that right in, and so now this will be the job description for what that we're going to be doing right now. And so if that looks good, we're good with that. Are we going to interview? Yes. Are we going to drug screen? We'll say yes. So again, this is just our form, and as my colleague Thomas likes to say, don't get hung up with the data fields on any particular form within CaseWorthy, because we can make these data fields what you need them to be. So this is just kind of our standard open job order form. And so if you wanted to include some additional data fields, you could certainly do that. Or if you wanted to take away some data fields, you could do that as well. So this job is going to be posted starting today. We're going to run it through maybe the end of the month, or again mid-March. Again, whatever you want to do there. What's the position type? We'll say it's a full-time position. It's going to be an hourly. The beginning salary is going to be $10.50 an hour. No end salary yet. Are there any benefits? If there are, with or without benefits. So again, you can have a drop-down, providing any benefit types that this employer provides. Health, dental, vision, whatever. So we'll just say this is without benefits, days of holiday if you want to put that in, and is it public transportation accessible? You can put that in there as well. So let's go ahead and save that. And so now we are at, we have successfully completed the first step in this workflow. We've actually created the open job into the system, and now we're going to go ahead and put some skills or education or credentials. What are the qualifications that this employer needs to have for this particular position? And we'll just add a couple of these just to kind of show you how it works. And so we can look at our credential type. We've got our drop-down list here. Again, you can add new skill types, on the fly if that's what you want to do. but as you work with your employers over time, as you build these skills and credentials up, you're going to have your library within the system itself. So we'll just go ahead and select a couple of those. And you can see we've got 140, and they're different types of whether the credential category or skills, education, work history. And so if we wanted to just narrow down by, let's just say, some skills, we can just pull up that category. And now we've gone from over 100 down to 39 that are under this particular skill category. And let's just go ahead and grab a couple of these. Let's say for this, we need someone who's definitely customer service oriented, and so that's got to be a requirement. And let's add another one, and let's just pull up again from our skills category here. So if we wanted to have friendly, that's great. And let's add one more row here. So we've got customer service, friendly, and now maybe we're interested in someone who is, detail-oriented, since they're going to be dealing with money. So we can look at this, and so there's detail-oriented. So again, these skills that are set up in the database would be the skills that you are tracking on behalf, of the employers that you work with. So we'll go ahead and select the detail-oriented. So we've got 3 things for this particular job, and let's say that these are all required. So detail-oriented, friendly, and customer service are all requirements of this particular job. And so we can go ahead and save that. And so now, again, if we wanted to put in any keywords that were associated with this particular job, then we could throw in a keyword or two. And so we will be looking from our drop down. So it looks like we have 69 kind of keywords that are just set up. If we wanted to add a new one, this is upper right hand. You could add these on the fly. And so we've got some qualifications. Maybe a keyword for this one is overtime. So let's just say we want to add overtime. And if that's the only one we want to do for keyword, we'll save to that. And so now we're tracking crimes. And so you can see this is, again, just a drop-down list, or it's actually a spreadsheet that has multiple selects, so we can select several of these. And so this would be your list, right? So what crimes are either not going to be acceptable, or maybe they're acceptable, they're just not preferred for this particular position that we just created. And so maybe, we can just kind of scroll down here, and let's say there's public intoxication. So for this cashier spot, this is certainly something that's just not preferred. But if someone has this on their record, it's not going to take them out, of this. They would still be considered for this particular position. And let's go back up to the top. And because this is a cashier position, if anyone has a theft conviction, then that's going to be a game changer, and it will definitely not be acceptable for them. And so let's go ahead and save those 2. And again, you can select as many more of these as you would like. And so we'll just hit save on that. And so now we're getting a little workflow summary that's telling us here that we have now completed this work order. We have added a job into the system, and these are all the steps that we accomplished, who accomplished them, and the date they were completed. We could also track time over here if you wanted to track time as well on that. And so So now we've got that, and so now let's come back to our little dashboard. And so we've added a job order, and so if we wanted to add another job order, we would just do the same thing. We could click and continue and do that workflow, and we can add as many of these as we want at this point in time. So now, this little dashboard is now going to allow us that we can search job candidates by keyword or view job matches, or we can view or edit any open job order that we've already put into this particular system. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at that. And now you can see that as of all job openings, so now we're looking at all job openings across the enterprise for this particular date range, and it just defaulted to today's date. And so you can see that as of February 15th, of 2017, we currently have 5 open job orders in our database. And it looks like we've got the one we just added for Chick-fil-A, we've got one from AutoZone, Hillside Elementary, and a couple from Adrian's Bistro. And so now on any one of these, we can go ahead and if we wanted to edit, so we can pull up the information that we just looked at, we can edit any of that information on the open job order itself. If we wanted to look at the skills and credentials, we can look at those, and you can see we're looking at those. If we wanted to add a new one, we could add a new one. If we wanted to add a new skill type on the fly, we can do that. And so if we go back to this action gear, so we can look at crimes, keywords. So we can look at any of this, and now we can look also to see, are there any client matches right now? And so now it looks like we've got 18 clients that are already in the database, and it looks like now we're looking at the match quality level from medium, low, no match. And so again, we can filter out this particular form. So if we wanted to just only look at and take out the no matches on this, we could. But it looks like the best we have right now is just a medium. So we just created this open job order into the system, and now if we wanted to say, hey, we wanted to reach out to Katniss Evergreen and let them know, so we can now contact the client. And so again, we can send an email, or if we had their number, so this information, so we could reach out to this client right now and just say, hey, we just added a new job into the system, and we saw right off the bat that you are a match for this, or you're a medium match. Would you be interested? So again, so on a open job order at a one-at-a-time level, you'll be able to see what clients in your database are a particular match for this just one open job order. Then we can go back to our particular dashboard, and we'll be able to look at job matches for any open job order that you have in the system. So again, it looks like we've got 458 rows here, but this represents any open job order we have in the system. So here's the employer over here, and then again, what our matches are. And so we will be able to drill this down. If we wanted to look at this by a certain provider, we could certainly do that. And so if we wanted to look at this maybe by Hillside Elementary, so we're looking for a particular employer, so we can type in Hills and any employer that we have those letters in their description, we can pull them up. And now, rather than looking at over 400 job matches within our entire enterprise, now we've scaled this down specifically for the employer, Hillside Elementary, and now we're only looking at their particular job orders and who might be a match. And so here are the client names, and these are all medium matches. And just as we saw before, we can go ahead and now we can either contact the employer if we want, or we can contact the client. So if we wanted to contact the employer, we could certainly do that as well, send out an email to them, or give them a call on the phone. So that's kind of the one component, right? We've actually put an open job order into the system. And so once we do that, then we just have the ability that we can either look at that one job order specifically, or we can look at all open job orders in the database itself. So that's the open job order side of things. And so now let's take a look at the other side of it, and that's, of course, the clients that we work with, right? So now we're going to come back to our case management tab over here, and let's say, again, I want to add a client into the system. And so just as we saw on the open job order, we could go ahead and create a workflow for this, but we're not going to do that, because we'll just keep this very simple, because we have still a lot to go through here. So let's say we want to just work with the client, and we're sitting across the desk, and let's say we're sitting next to Roger Page, And so we can go ahead and search our database. And so let's say we want to look at the last name of Page. Roger assures us he's never been in the system, but we just want to check for duplicates, right? Anytime we're putting a new client record into the system, we want to check for duplicates. And so we're going to go ahead and search the database by anybody with last name Page, because I want to show you what kind of pops up when we do that, because we've got some other pages that are in our database. So let's check for duplicates just on the last name. And so now you can see that we have, it looks like 2, 4, 6, we have 7 pages that are already in the database. And so you can see that we've got Cam and Dan and Jack and Patty and Sarah and Sean and Turner. And, you know, here's all the information, or the relevant information, social, birth date. So if we had Cam Page that was sitting down in front of us right now, and Cam says, you know, he's not in the database, but we say, well, you know, we already have a Cam Page in. Let's check your social. Let's just make sure you're not this Cam Page. And as long as, you know, it's a different social, birth date and all that, then we can just do a new client record. Now, we're sitting across the desk from Roger, and there's no Roger, so we just wanted to kind of show you what pops up as you check for duplicates, just if there are any others from the search that you did. So we're going to say this is a new client, and we're going to say this is Roger, and then as we continue to just start populating this demographics form, again, we can modify this form. This form itself might be 80% of what you want to capture when you just add somebody into the database. So we can take fields off of this. We can add new data fields to this form. So again, we just do that through our configuration tools. Now, you know, on birth date and social, you can see we've got drop downs over here that, you know, if you only wanted to capture maybe partial or age, or client doesn't know or refused, it will allow you to put those in and then bypass this required field itself. So we're okay with full. And I just wanted to populate a date here, because as you're putting this in and you tab off of the birth date, you can see it automatically calculates the age. So again, social, same way. If you only wanted to have a partial or you say client refused or doesn't know, you could certainly do that. So if you want to have a little security there. So we'll continue through this. Citizenship status. This is a self-marital status. It's not required, so we don't have to track that if we want. Race is a multi-select, so you can select as many of those as you would like. Occupation, Rogers in, you know, customer service field. So we can put that in. Veteran status, no. Ethnicity. So again, we're just populating this information. Where does Roger live? So I try to keep things a little bit easy on my typing, because you can already tell I'm not the greatest of typers. And so let's just go ahead and pull up the zip code. And so once we put in the zip code, it checks the federal zip code level tables, automatically brings in the city, the country, the county, the state. You know, if we had an apartment number, if we were updating any family members, we could check those boxes. Now, we do have a required field here to verify an address. We just made that required. It certainly doesn't have to be, but when we do that, it's going to actually go out to Google API. We've got a map to a Google API, and so now we're going to verify the address, and we're going to bring in the latitude and longitude point. So on latitude and longitude points, you can bring those into CaseWorthy for any address that you have set up in the system. And so we're starting to roll the latitude and longitude out into our reporting framework. So if you wanted to report very granular on latitude and longitude points, you can. We're starting to bring geospatial mapping into the application, so you can define your own regions. So if you had a reporting region that kind of falls outside of traditional zip codes or county lines, then you'd be able to kind of create your own region that might be all of zip code 84107 and maybe 2 streets of another zip code. So you kind of define that region, and then you'd be able to save that region in CaseWorthy, and then as we start doing our reporting, you'll be able to report off of those particular regions themselves. So it's kind of some cool functionality that we continue to work on within the application. And then we've got another just an API out to Bing Maps. And so if you were heading out to this particular location, you can kind of see where it is. You get a graphical representation of what it is. And then if you wanted directions, this is just a mapping, right? It's just Bing Maps. And so you can click directions, and then where are you starting from, and if that's going to help you on this. So these are just a couple, APIs that we've built into the application. So we always like to show you that. And then on this demographic form, we've also just provided, do you want to contact this individual by phone? CaseWorthy also gives you the ability that you can contact your clients by text as well. If you are going to do text, then of course we have to have a cell phone, and so let's go ahead and put in a number there. Same thing on email. Are you going to communicate with your client by email? If you are, then you need to have an email in there, and again, I'll try to make this as simple as possible just so there won't be a lot of typing involved, and then we just need to reconfirm. And so if that's all we want to do on this demographic form, then we'll go ahead and save this. And so now we've saved that record, and so no longer, because we just added a new client into the database, it automatically brought us into the client record Roger page. No longer are we on Teresa Rivers. That was the client we were on prior to this. And so now if we look at our case management, we can come to our client demographics form here, and this is just what we did, right? This is just what we added. We saved that, and so now we're starting to build the data for this particular client. And so now, let's say we wanted to enroll this client into a program. And so you can see right now we're looking at our summary form for any program enrollment, and right now it's blank because we just entered this client into a database, and so we haven't enrolled them into any programs yet. So we're going to go ahead and take care of that right now. We're going to add new, and so we're going to enroll them into a program. Now on this, this is all the programs we have set up within our database, and so I can scroll down. I think it's well over 100 in our demo database, and so you can scroll through that list, or I know I want to enroll Roger into a job match program, so I'm going to type in job, and you can see it, that's illustrated by JOB. It's kind of bolded there, and it looks like in my demo database I have two programs set up that have job in the description, and so it just kind of filters, based upon that. And so let's go ahead and select the employment job match. And if this was a particular program that we had a funding source, and the funding source gave us $100,000 for this program, and we wanted to track the dollars associated with this program. So as we enroll our clients into this program, and as we record service transactions against this program and this particular funding source, CaseWorthy will track those dollars. So it'll decrement those dollars. So as you're recording your services, and if you have value amounts associated with each one of the services you're providing, then as you record those transactions, then CaseWorthy will decrement those service transactions against the balance initially that you had set up of $100,000. So at any point in time, if it's relevant for you to know how much money is still available within this particular program, CaseWorthy does a very nice job of doing that. So for our purposes today, we're not going to do that, but if that's something that interests you or your organization, we have a nice framework that allows for that. Family and individuals. So again, is this a program for family or individual? And so this is just going to be an individual program enrollment. So we'll select that there. And then assign a case manager. Now I like to show this because a couple things will happen. First of all, we're going to show what we call conditional logic. So as we assign the case manager, right now it's not selected. And so right now if we hit save, we would enroll Roger into this job match program. But we're going to go ahead and say we want to assign a case manager. So when we do that, CaseWorthy actually positioned two additional data fields for us to look at. and populate if we want. First one being case manager, which is, you can see, a required field because we're assigning a case manager. And if we're doing that, of course, we need to assign one, right? We need to select one. So it just automatically defaults to me. But now I can pull up my drop-down list and I can assign this to any other case manager set up within our organization. And then I want to create an email. Now, if we were not assigning a case manager, then these are just extra fields on the form that aren't relevant. So that's what conditional logic is all about. When we define our forms, we like to make them as clean as possible, set up conditional logic so that if we're not assigning a case manager as part of this program enrollment, we don't want to look at these fields. They're just cluttering up the screen. They mean nothing to us. But if we are, then let's have CaseWorthy present them. And so that's the nice thing about the conditional logic. Now, create an email. We talked about communicating with our clients, with case managers, and so this is a program enrollment, and so we're assigning it to an individual, one of our case managers, and so we've created a very simple template, and we're going to email that template to Richard because Richard is the individual we assigned as the case manager. So you can see because we assigned Richard, his email was automatically populated here in the to. I can go ahead and put any other emails that I want. If I wanted to set this up for Richard's supervisor as well, I can put that in there. We actually have a template. So we've created a very simple template here that just says, hey, this is to communicate that Roger Page has been assigned to you as a case manager. It's on behalf of the Job Match program dated February 15th. Now, the beauty of what templates are is this is a very simple template. It automatically defaulted in, and you can see it also merged in some of the records. It merged in the client name, it merged in the case manager name, it merged in the program enrollment, and it merged in the date. So for any template that you have set up within the system, you can define what kind of client data you would like to merge into that particular template. Whether it's a client name, for some templates, maybe you want to merge, you want to bring their social security number in so that when you pull that template in, it automatically, the social security number comes in. Maybe you want to have the client address. So again, with any template you set up, you're going to have the ability to also define what kind of information is going to merge into that template. So we'll just say, send this out. And so now what we've done basically is we've sent an email out to the case manager giving them a heads up that they now have a new case assignment. So let's just hit save here. And so now it's going to show us that we have actually enrolled this client into the Job Match program. But you can see now this is the summary form that we looked at just a moment ago, and it was blank. And now we're looking at it, and it actually has a program because that's what we just did. But we have assessments pending. So within CaseWorthy, assessments are nothing more than forms that are asking questions, right? It's data you need to collect. And so across your organization, you might have 50 different assessments set up. You may have 75. And so for each one of your programs, for this program, we don't need to have the data from every assessment we've set up. So CaseWorthy on our setup side, we map assessments to programs. And so if we click on the assessments pending here, whatever assessments we've mapped to this Job Match program are going to populate, and it's going to force us to complete that because we need this data. As we enroll a client into this program, this is the data we have defined that is critical for us to be able to work with this client as part of this program. So let's go ahead and see what we've got, and we'll complete entry assessment. And all this can be done in a workflow, just as we saw on the open job order, but we decided not to do this. And so now you can see the only assessment we needed for this is just a financial assessment. And so you can see that this is going to be an assessment done at entry, right? We've enrolled the client into this program. It's for the Job Match program. And so let's just say we've got some unemployment insurance, and what's the interval? Maybe Roger biweekly gets $335 as part of that. We can tab off of that, and based upon the interval and the amount, CaseWorthy will automatically calculate the monthly amount, and we can hit save there. And since that was the only assessment that was mapped for this program, we're done with the workflow, and we can hit done here. And now you'll see that as we come back to this program enrollment dashboard, we've gone from an assessments pending status to an enrolled status. So again, now we've enrolled the client into the program, and we've completed all the assessments we've mapped to that program. So now this client is enrolled into this program. So now what I want to do, because we're going to be getting to reporting here very quickly, I wanted to go back to our all features role, and let's come back here. So we'll pull up all features. And so again, I've just changed role. I've got more functionality available, but I'm still within Roger Page. I haven't left my client record that I'm working with. One stop before we go there is let's go ahead and take a look at the employment and retention dashboard. And so again, this is a blank dashboard. It's got these icons on it here, and so now we can just start populating some information. So let's just go do a couple things here for Roger and just kind of show you how this works, and then we'll move on. So let's say we wanted to do an employment work history. We wanted to capture just some work history for Roger, and so let's just go ahead and add new. And so we'll add this in, and we'll run through this pretty quickly here. So let's say Roger worked at Burger King, and again, if we have any contacts associated with the Burger King, we can go ahead and take a look, and we'll bring a contact in. When was the beginning date for this? And so maybe it was back in 2014, February 1st. Job title was a cashier. Employment type was full-time. And again, the SIC descriptions, if you're tracking those types of things, we've got it set up so you can certainly do that. You can see we've got over 100 that are set up. You can filter this. Let's say I know this is going to be a retail. I can go ahead and do a search based upon retail, and I've got a description of retail sales workers under the category name. Could have also, filtered by category type. So if I want to go ahead and bring this in, we can bring that into this work history record if you're tracking that. What was it was an hourly pay. The rate per hour was $11 an hour. 25 hours per week. You can see that once we did that, it automatically calculates the yearly total. Again, were there any benefits associated with this particular, maybe there was some paid sick leave that was going on, whatever it happens to be. And then what was the end date for this particular job? And so you can just go ahead and maybe that was, maybe we'll do our calendar. Maybe it was the end of last year. The end wage was $11.75. Maybe laid off. I don't know. Reduction in force. So again, this is whatever you need to track here. These are your reasons and what you're tracking here. But just as we save this, what I wanted to show you here is that now you've got a work history in here, and now when we go back to that dashboard, it starts populating this dashboard. So as you work with your clients and they have multiple work histories, and if you're doing placements and retentions, then again, it will populate this dashboard for you as well. Let's just go ahead and add a few skills and credentials and show you how this works, and then we'll see what job matches Roger's available for. And so let's say for skills and credentials, we're going to add new, and we'll try to, if we can remember what we did for the open job order we just entered, we'll go ahead and look at this, and we'll track this down by skill type. And so I know we had detail-oriented in there, and if we wanted to do a case note, we could do that, or more of a description, we could certainly do that. Let's do another one. I think we also had friendly and customer service, so let's just put those in here as well. So there's friendly, and then let's add one more, the customer service, just so we'll have a match when we go ahead and look at this. And I think customer service was the last one there. So we've got friendly, detail-oriented customer service, so we'll save that. So now we've added, again, at the client record, these are associated with the client. And so now if we come back to this dashboard and we do a job match, now it's going to show us that for this client we just entered into the database, what open job orders that are out there in our system is this client eligible for. And you can see we've got a high category with Chick-fil-A because the 3 skills we put for this client were identical to the 3 qualifications we put in for the job itself. And so that's why we get a high. There's a low here. If we wanted to look at the description of this job, we could certainly look at the description there, a little pop-up window. If we wanted to look at the qualifications, we can look at the qualifications. So again, got that information. Now, again, if we want to contact the employer, let them know we have a high match. If we want to update the client status, we can look at that. We can update it. If pending review, maybe now we're going to say, hey, this client is interested, so we're going to apply or not interested, whatever your job statuses are, right? This is your drop-down, how you're kind of running your business and what you're tracking there. So we're good there. But now let's come back to our dashboard, and now let's go ahead and put in some criminal history for this client. And as we do that, we can put in, Roger forgot to tell us that he had a theft conviction a few years ago, and so let's say maybe this was back in 2015 on the 18th. If we wanted to have a case note and share that, we could certainly do more details there. Let's do convicted. Parole date, if there was parole or prison, we could put that in. We can just say, this was in Alameda County, the state was California, and then we're asking for a parole officer's first name. So again, if that's not something you care about, you don't have to, but let's go ahead and add this contact in. And so the relationship is parole officer, and we could have that defaulted in here if we wanted to. So let's say parole officer, last name Jones, first name Cliff, and if we're good there and we want to put in a cell phone for Cliff, so again we're just putting in this information, we'll save that. It'll go there, and so now we've got that, and so we'll save this information. So now at the client level, at the client record level, now Roger has a criminal background, and so now if we come to the job matches, you can see that whereas before we had the 3, now he's no match for each one of those. So each one of those must have had a theft that was not acceptable for their particular job itself. So that's kind of how we kind of work on that. One other thing I would like to show you here on this is as we look at this, we can also look at any job openings here, and this is kind of the power of the system. So we've got job openings in the system, we've got client data in the system as well, and so now here's the power. So now we'll just look at a couple of these so you can see you can search openings based upon any one of these. So if we wanted to search based upon date and employer, right now it's open-ended and it's just based upon this date range. And so let's say we were looking for any job opening for the Q4 of last year. We can pick October 1, 2016, and maybe it was through the end of the year. And so now we can go ahead and look at this. And so once we do a search, now we can do a search, and we went from 5, and it looks like we went from 5 to about 7. So these are all job openings we had for this particular date range. And then if we were looking for a certain employer type, then we can define this by, an employer type. So if we were only looking for those job openings by Walmart, we can go ahead and do a search on Walmart. We can leave this, open, our date range can be a year, 2 years, a quarter, whatever it happens to be. So search by employer, search by the status. Powerful stuff on this dashboard here. And then industry and locations, another nice one because you have a lot of fields up above here that you can filter off of. And so if you're tracking by industry category, you can go ahead and do that. If you wanted to filter based upon whether any open job order is by public transportation accessible. So we're searching job openings by this criteria here. You can look at by employer, by date range. So again, if we wanted to just say by public transportation, we can do a search on that. And so now it's filtered based upon these are the open job orders that we have in the system that are public transportation accessible. So again, the power of this little dashboard here is that you've got this information in the system, and now you're able to query the data associated with this. So now I wanted to just quickly show you a little bit on reporting. I know we're hitting up on our hour, so hopefully folks will be able to stay with us for another 5 minutes. But that's in our administration tab over here. And so we've embedded our reporting, you can see over here in this. Now, a different dashboard presented itself. You probably noticed that when we were on the case management tab, we had a client dashboard, and when we went to the org tab, we had a different dashboard, and now we're in our administration tab and yet a different dashboard as well. Dashboards are configurable by the tab that you're in within the role that you're in. And so we've kind of embedded our reporting in here. This is where we come up and set up our programs and our services and our accounts and things of that nature. And so we put our dashboard here that says, hey, we want to identify the top 8 program enrollments that we have across our organization. And so a nice little pie chart here, and if we hover over any one of these pieces of the pie, it'll tell us what the program is, how many enrollments we have into that, and what percentage that makes up across our enterprise. Now, our legend is over here on the right. This is an interactive legend over here, so if we're not interested in looking at our HIV and our English for Employment program, we can click on those and it grays them out. And so now we only have 6 programs that are active, and you can see that our pie chart dynamically changed as well. Now, dashboards are interactive and they allow us to drill down to information. So now we're going to go ahead and drill down on this program based upon the clients that actually enrolled into this program, and kind of this dashboard is showing us we're drilling down by gender and age, but that's only because that's what we specifically wanted to see. If we wanted to see this drill down based upon ethnicity or race or citizenship status, then we could, have those appear on this dashboard. And now if we wanted to look at those clients, those female clients that were actually enrolled into this particular program, now we're looking at those 196 female clients. And as we drill into that, you can see that we're getting much more information, on this final form here. We're getting the gender, birth date, begin date, race, all this information. And so we can also have a lot more information appear here as a result of this. And now we're going to allow you to take this information out to Excel if you would like to do some more analysis of this 126 female clients that were enrolled into this particular program. So we always like to kind of show that on the reporting itself. And so if we're done with that, let's come back to our operational reports. We've got our clients in program report. We like to show this one because this is just really a form that's been set up that's going to allow us to query data in the system. So I can query the data. This is just kind of a clients in programs. So if we wanted to know as of the end of January how many clients were enrolled in whatever program, so it pulls up a drop-down list. And so again, multi-select, so you can pick one of your programs, 4 of your programs, all of your programs, and then what is the status. If you want to see enrolled, exited, assessments pending, so we saw that status, right? So as we set people up into programs, and so let's add just enrolled and run that search. And so now you can see that as of the end of January, we had 128 clients that were enrolled in that program, and we're getting just some information, begin date, program date, end date, etc., veteran status. So again, this information here is really the information you would like to see. So completely configurable, and just as we saw before, we're going to allow you to take this out to Excel if you want to do some analysis of that. Now also the columns within this drill down, so we queried the database based upon these 4 data fields up above. We brought down the search results, and so these are interactive columns as well. So you can see the first client here, Jane Test, was enrolled in this client into this program in September 1st, 2010. Let's say we wanted to start with the most current enrollments first, so we can go ahead and click on the begin date, and now it will reposition and give us the most recent program enrollment for permanent housing that falls within, before January 31st. So that's a report there that we just like to show as well, because it's just forms that you can create that are going to allow you to query the database and bring your skill set back. Then other programs by services. So again, this is one report format for us, but we can create many reports from this based upon the criteria that we select here, right? Based upon the date range, based upon if it's one organization we're looking at, based upon what program and what services. I mean, we can get very granular and pick one service within one program for a month point of time. We talked about regions before, so we've embedded regions into this. So if you've mapped some regions into the database, and now you want to report services that you recorded within that region, you'd be able to pull this region into the system itself. So create your criteria, and if it's something you always want to look at, you can save it. You identify what it is, then it will appear here in your drop-down list. And so now I can pull up any one of these saved reports that I've done. I can bring it in. Now I don't have to recreate all that criteria that I identified with this. And so this report is very granular. Here's the information. It looks like it's the month of November for 2014. It was for one organization, it was for one program, and it was for one service. So this particular report, we only wanted to see those clients where we recorded bed night as a service transaction based upon this program within this date range. You can see a blue hyperlink there. That just is going to allow us to drill down and look at those 4 specific clients where we recorded bed night as a service for the ONG program within this date range. So again, kind of a brand for CaseWorthy reports is you identify your criteria, we provide kind of summary level information, and then we allow you to drill into the most common denominator here, right? The actual client record that is for that particular, and in this case, it's a service transaction record. Now, you also, with any standard report that's set up within CaseWorthy, you have the standard export options here that if we wanted to take this out to Excel, Word, PDF, or XML file, comma delimited, it's just a byproduct of this particular CaseWorthy, which is really Microsoft Reporting Services. So that kind of shows you that. Now, you can see here, when we're back to our criteria here, you can schedule reports. So you can create reports, you can schedule reports, and so let's just look at one that we've already kind of identified what's going on within the report itself. But you can schedule your teams, so you might have an executive team, you might have your case management supervisor team, you might have a lot of different teams. You identify the members on that team. So who's this report going to go out to? We're going to say the Approval 1 team. If you wanted to create a very simple template that's just going to say, because what happens with scheduling is they're going to get an email. Any member on this team is going to get an email, and it's going to let them know that they have a new report waiting for them in CaseWorthy. So do you want this report to be a PDF or Excel? What's the frequency type? So again, is it a once only? Is it a daily report, weekly, quarterly? You define that. When is the start date you want to start generating this report? If you want to lock it down to a certain date range, you can put an end date, or you can leave it open-ended. When do you want to run the report? Usually you want to run it, in the wee hours of the morning when everybody's sleeping, hopefully. And then what are the parameters for the report? What is the report that you're actually going to generate that's going to be delivered? So you can schedule reports. The other thing that's cool, anytime you you save a report, you're going to get a form that's going to show you my saved reports. And so these are all the reports that I have saved. And so if I want to go ahead and share this report with someone, then any user I have set up in the database, I can go ahead and select them, and now I can give them permission to look at this report. And I can lock it down by a date range. So the moral to the story with giving permissions to others and scheduling reports is you may only have one or two people that are creating, all your reports in the system, but even though they're creating the reports, plenty of functionality available for them to share those reports with other users in your system, whether it's through scheduling it or whether it's through permissions. Last stop here is I did want to just briefly touch on, I know we have a lot of goodwills that are out there as part of our compliance report. You can see we do have the annual statistics report that's available within CaseWorthy, and so again, you can run this report. Anytime there's changes to this particular report, you'll be able to, CaseWorthy makes these changes, modifies these changes, so it's always, this report's always going to be in compliance. We've got total persons served in our demo database of 118. Again, it's got a hyperlink associated with that. That just means that now we're drilling into those 118 people that are part of this report, and you can see we can scroll out to this, and so now you've got all this information associated with this particular report itself. And so we can go back to the report itself. We talked about earlier, you can print these, you can see this is a 5-page report, so we can go page at a time. I'm a little more of an old school. I kind of just like to see everything scroll. So I'm going to go ahead and print this report now in Word. It's going to launch Word for me. And so now it'll go ahead and show us this particular report in Word. And now we'll be able to scroll down. Although it's processing, so it's thinking about it. Sam, you can tell we're over the limit. We're getting tired here, getting tired. Not sure if I've got an issue with my Word. Let's just try it one more time. Okay, let's see if we can get it to...
No worries. We got some folks that are still hanging on. So we
got some folks still hanging. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, my Word is just kind of taking a moment here, so.
Hey, Richard and Sam, I want to thank everybody. Boy, everybody has pretty much hung on there, which has been great. I have answered the questions as they have come through, and Richard, people have shown some interest in getting a copy of the recording, but and hopefully, if there are any other questions, if you'd like to type them in, I'll be happy to address them now. But again, I want to thank you and Rich and Sam for doing a great job, and thank you for joining us. And hopefully, you found this this hour to be very beneficial. And I'm sure the team will be reaching out to see if we can present something that is very specific to your unique needs of the organization. So again, thank you, and we run these weekly. And with very specific topics, and hopefully we'll see you again in the near future.